ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to Friday Night Football Overtime. Brazil style. Packers, Eagles. Pretty good game. Very, very sloppy. It was nasty. We'll get into that. This stream is powered by BetUS. 34-29 victory for the Philadelphia Eagles as they move to 1-0 on the season. Packers dropped to 0-1. Nasty field conditions. Guys were slipping and sliding everywhere. I hate these international games for the surfaces. I haven't seen one of these international surfaces that plays like an NFL field yet. All of them look like sloppy soccer fields that essentially painted green ice, essentially, where guys are slipping and sliding all over the place. It was nasty out there. But the Eagles made enough plays to win this game. And I knew when the Packers had those 2 turnovers that they forced early in this game, or forced one of them, and the Eagles unforced with the fumble on the other, and they only came away with, 6 points? I said, yeah, they're going to lose this game. You can't have those types of opportunities, squander both of them, come away with field goals, miss a field goal, drop a pick 6, and expect to win against a team like Philadelphia. It's the same thing we said about Baltimore last night. You're not going to beat a good quality opponent when you make the mistakes, miss the opportunities. And Philadelphia, not unlike Kansas City, who didn't make the mistakes that Philadelphia made, the Eagles made a ton of mistakes and still won this game. They turned it over 3 times. Easily could have turned it over another 2 times. Had penalties. Had muffed snaps. All kinds of mistakes by the Eagles. But the Packers were equally as sloppy. 10 penalties, 17 between the 2 teams combined. 4 turnovers in this game. 3 by the Philadelphia Eagles. A multitude of drops and slips and, missed opportunities for the Packers in particular. It all spells a loss. And so the Eagles, I don't know about you, okay? And I'm about to give the Eagles their just due here in a second, but looks like the same Dookie defense to me. I can't speak for anybody out there, but there was opportunities galore for Green Bay in this game. Looks like the same shoddy, spotty Philadelphia Eagles defense to me. Guys running free all over the secondary. It was a very slow start. I thought the run defense was very impressive early, and then Jacobs got going late and started to gash them. They gave up well over 100 yards on the ground. Did the Philadelphia Eagles defensively between the 2 backs. And again, if Jordan Love was a little bit more accurate, he was really erratic in spraying the football. And maybe it had something to do with his calf. You could see they were massaging his calf really probably halfway through the 3rd quarter, all the way through the 4th. He was getting work on that both of his calves. He slid about 3 or 4 times on his drops. Maybe something happened to his calf on one of those, but whatever the case may be, the story here is Saquon Barkley. His Eagles debut couldn't have gone any better. He turns in a hat trick, 3 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 2 on the ground, almost had a 4th there late in the ball game. Over 100 yards rushing, was a factor in the pass game. They had no answers for him in this game. He was outstanding as advertised. This is what the Eagles signed up for when they gave him the 3-year, $37 million, I believe, dollar contract in the offseason. If this continues, he's going to be the biggest offseason signing probably across the entire NFL. I mean, this was a magnificent debut for him. The Packers really didn't have any answers. When they isolated him one-on-one against linebackers, he won those matchups. When he got a seam, he took it and he ran with it. Almost broke a big one. Good tackle by the safety there, because that easily could have gone for about 65, 70, however long it would have been. Had a nice touchdown run when he hit the seam, hit the accelerator, and galloped into the end zone. He was the X factor tonight. He was the true difference maker that they signed him up to be. A.J. Brown was outstanding, as he normally is. I think I've said this before, and I was telling my wife this. We were watching the game, and I told her that Jair Alexander is the most overrated corner in the NFL because every time I look up, he's talking shit, but he's getting cooked. Somebody's putting his ass on the stove and cooking his ass. Every time I look up, Jair's got some shit to say. He's talking to somebody, and then I look up, and all I see is 23 in pursuit as somebody's running for a touchdown on his ass. And AJ got him and ran away from him, scored a touchdown. He got a little bit of a revenge late with the interception. That was a bad decision by Jalen Hurts. We'll get to that in a bit. But ultimately, I've never seen a corner talk more shit and get cooked more than Jair Alexander. Had another opportunity to make a play, couldn't catch. I could smack Keyshawn Nixon for dropping a pick six. I could say the same thing about Nakobe Dean. He dropped a pick six as well, so it goes both ways. I mean, this was a sloppy game. Make no mistake about it. This was a sloppy contest, but ultimately, to the victors go the spoils. So we'll start with Philadelphia and what they were able to do in this game to come out victorious 34-29. It was a sloppy start for the Eagles. Hurts, ill-advised decision. He had two of them in this game. You could argue he had 3 or 4 ill-advised decisions because the one to Jair late should have been picked off. That was a poor decision. The one that he threw out into the flats that Keyshawn Nixon dropped down in the red zone, that was the play, I think, before he actually threw the pick. That should have been a pick six, though. That should have been going the other way for a touchdown. That was dropped. But I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Neither quarterback, to be honest with you, with both of the interceptions over the middle of the field. I don't know what Jordan Love was thinking on that play where he tried to layer it over the defender. And he threw it, great play, great break on the ball by Blankenship. But Hurts on that first possession, it's 3rd and long. I don't know what he was thinking. He lost it over the middle of the field. It wasn't going to be caught even if it wasn't picked off. But great play by McKinney, the free agent acquisition from the Giants, to step in front of it, pick it off, give the Packers tremendous field position. And then they just self-destruct on that possession. Penalties and mistakes, and next thing you know, they're settling for a field goal. Okay, you got a field goal. You kick it off. The Eagles, it's a crazy kickoff, but it works. It literally bounced at like the 20-yard line, which is the cutoff for that landing zone. And the Eagles are pinned back inside their own 20, like at the 16-yard line. So you got them pinned back there. And we talked about the changes on the offensive line. Mekhi Becton goes to right guard because Cam Jurgens, who was your right guard last year, kicks inside the center to take the place of the retired Jason Kelce. So we said there were going to be some changes up front. How would the Eagles handle that? Not well early on with the snaps, and it was problematic all game long. But this snap, Jalen Hurts was not ready for. Ball comes up to his chest, hits him, hits the ground. It's recovered by Devontae Wyatt. Packers are in business. They're inside the Eagles' 20-yard line, and they can't get in the end zone. You could give credit to the Eagles defensively if you so choose. I want to say it was really bad play calling by the Packers and even worse execution in terms of more penalties, more mistakes, going in reverse, doing the things that you can't afford to do when you get the gift that they were blessed with twice, really 2 gifts that they were given, and you end up with 6 points. At that point, I said, they're going to lose this game. I had zero confidence. I went from thinking the Packers were going to win this game at the very beginning. Before it started, you had the penalty negated with the 12 guys on the field, which was a touchdown on the opening possession. You were going to go for it on 4th down, and what happens? You false start. So now you have to punt, right? Who knows what would happen on 4th and 6? Now you got to punt. I mean, that was the story of the Packers in this game. And so after the Eagles stood up defensively twice and forced 2 field goals, I said they're going to win this game. And that's what they did. And it took them a little while in the first quarter to kind of get going. But in the second quarter, they turned it up. Saquon started to get busy. I thought, we talked about both coordinators. I wasn't really impressed with Vic Fangio and the defense at all. But I was impressed with Zach Bond. He was all over the field, right? There was 0 pass rush to speak of. We talked about who's going to get to the quarterback. There was no sighting of Josh Sweat. I didn't even know that their free agent acquisition from the Jets, Bryce Huff, even played in the game. Every time I looked, I saw 0 on the ground, right? Getting tossed around like a salad. But the run defense, especially in those short yardage situations, was and you could give credit to Jordan Davis and Carter in the middle. That Georgia wall was really strong, especially early on in the ball game. But Offensively, though, for as much as I felt like the Eagles looked like the same defense to me, I thought offensively they looked good. I actually thought that, their offensive coordinator looked pretty good. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right. Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore looked good. There was some some sexy play designs. That touchdown to Saquon on the pass, that is a gorgeous play design. They had another one very similar to that one on a play to Devontae Smith where you get AJ Brown on a go route. You get I think it might have been Jahan Dotson. Somebody ran a post, and then up the sideline comes Devontae Smith, and it's wide open. I was like, man, these are some great play calls, man. I mean, he did a phenomenal job in some of those crucial situations down the stretch, especially late in the game when they had to have it to keep the ball away from the Packers. They went to their bread and butter, the slant, and made plays. There was a fourth down where they got it to a tight window throw by Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith that kept a drive alive. They ultimately got a field goal before half. So I thought Kellen Moore, mixed it up well, stayed honest with the ground game, but also gave Jalen Hurts and this offense ample opportunities to make plays through the air. The deep ball to A.J. Brown was a thing of beauty. Dropped that thing right in the bucket in stride and allowed him to run away from Jair Alexander for the touchdown. Look, at the end of the day, Hurts made some plays with his legs after really not doing anything with his legs all day long, and credit the Packers defensively for kind of keying in on him and making sure that he really didn't hurt them. But when the game was on the line, his legs came alive, ran through a couple of Packer defenders there on a late run to get a first down. The Packers tackling got worse as the game progressed. A shallow cross to Devontae Smith, and you get Quay Walker just passing him off to nobody. There's a guy that comes, tries to punch the ball, doesn't go for the tackle at all, misses. Another guy comes over, misses. He gets the first down on a 2nd and long. So the Eagles made plays on that final possession. I think they ended up keeping the ball for about 7 minutes. Like, I think the Packers kicked that field goal to cut the score to a 2-point game at 31-29 with about 7 and some change. And they really never saw the ball again until they got it back with about 27 seconds. So credit the Eagles for going into that 4-minute offense and really just bleeding the clock. And again, aided by a dumb Kenny Clark holding penalty. What are you doing? A drop Jair Alexander interception that should have, given the Packers prime field position an opportunity to steal this game. But the Packers didn't want this game. They simply did not want this game. And again, you got to credit, the Eagles offense. I thought it was a phenomenal offensive display by the Eagles in this game. They look like they're going to be good on offense, and they look like they're going to be terrible again on defense. And they're going to have to outscore some teams. That's what it looks like to me. But because I look at that secondary, not impressed. I thought Quinyon Mitchell made some plays, but he also had some opportunities to give up some plays, and they had some chunk plays. I mean, they couldn't cover Jaden Reed. They could not cover Jaden Reed. He had well over 100 yards in this game. Dontavius Wicks couldn't keep his feet. He dropped 2 balls. Romeo Doubs had a drop. Jordan Love was spraying the ball all over the place. He had a wide open Watson on the first possession, or was that the first possession? Yeah, and Todd Blackledge keeps talking about, oh, he slipped. He didn't slip. It was a bad throw by Jordan Love in the back of the end zone. Wide-ass open receiver for a touchdown, and he overshot him. All right? The same thing happened on that final possession. I think Jordan Love was banged up by that point, though, with the calf. But Romeo Doubs was interfered with. I'm telling you right now, their nickel, what is his name? Oh, man. Oh, shit. He stinks. Boy. Did he leave and come back, or did he get hurt last year? The nickel corner for the Eagles. Boy, is he trash. He had about 3 PIs in the game. Would have had another one. The referee went like this because the pass was too damn high, or they would have called PI on him right there too. He stinks. Boy, that Eagles secondary is funky. It's time to get funky. And that pass rush doesn't help. So the star of the show, I thought Nakobe Dean played his ass off too, right? Got an opportunity because Devin White was out. I thought Nakobe Dean should have had a pick 6. I thought he was all over the field, got had a bunch of plays. I thought he was all over the field. The 2 linebackers, Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, I thought were the two best defensive players on the field for the Eagles. And Reed Blankenship is pretty good too. I like him a lot. And he hit the Quan. So I'm a Reed Blankenship fan now. Rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. I thought that was a nice little ode to Rich Homie after the pick. So I'm a Reed Blankenship fan after that. But outside of those three dudes, nobody did anything defensively for the Eagles, and they should have given up 30 plus in this game. They really should have. But I'll tell you what I thought was the turning point in the game. And let me talk about the Packers for a second. I talked about Love missing Watson wide open on the first possession after the interception for a touchdown. Should have been 7 there. The penalties were just ridiculous. 10 penalties in the game. Probably had another 2 or 3 that were declined either because of, down and distance or, offsetters, including having their first possession, a touchdown negated there. Again, the Eagles defense giving up a touchdown. Should have been a touchdown, except they had 12 players on the field, which I don't even know what that guy was doing. There was one guy off by the side, and I'm like, just get off the goddamn field. But then you have a penalty. You're going to go for it on 4th and 6, and you have a penalty, so now you have to punt, right? Like, they just couldn't get out of their own way, could Green Bay. But I'm going to tell you what I thought was the critical turning moment in the game. The Packers were up at this moment. I want to say the score was 23? Was it 20? What was the score? Where's my phone? What was the score in the game at the time? Man, I want to say it was 22-20. I think that's what the score might have been. Let's see. No, it was 26-24. That was what the score was. They had taken the lead. The Packers on a nice drive that was really aided by Philadelphia mistakes, penalties. I think they had 2 third down conversions off of Eagle penalties. It was not a clean drive, but you'll take it any way you can get it. He caps it off with the touchdown pass to Watson. They take the lead 26-24, and then the teams exchange punts. And the Packers had the football. They had the lead. They had the momentum, and Jordan Love has a wide open Jaden Reed, and I'm talking about wide open over the middle of the field. If he catches this, there's space and opportunity up the right sideline. It's probably a gain of 25, 30, right? He's already 15 yards up the field running with not an eagle within 5 yards in any direction. So if he catches this thing, he throws it at his feet. He skips it to him on a 2nd and 10. And you go, bro, what the is that? And later on, we realized he's got something going on with his calf, and that might have affected that because he had no pressure. The Eagles got no pressure all night long. All night long, all night. Oh, all night long, all night, all night. No pressure really either side. I don't think either quarterback really was sacked in this game, if my memory serves me correct. There was really no pressure on either side. But there was no pressure on that play, and he skips it to him, Donovan McNabb style. Like, bro, what the hell are you doing? The next play, he throws it to, or I think that was first down, matter of fact. The next play, he throws it to, this is, and all of this was after a false start penalty or something that had him at 1st and 15. And they had 2 opportunities to get the first down. He skips it to a wide open Jaden Reed. I owe him an apology. First of all, double O for Jaden Reed. I was so disrespectful to him and the Packers organization when they drafted this kid in the 2nd round out of Michigan State. I was very, very disrespectful to Jaden Reed. And okay, I was wrong. He's a dog. He's an absolute filthy dog. All right. Foaming at the mouth dog. Okay. You get it to this dude. Now I've seen it now for 2 years. So I believe what my eyes have seen. You can get it to him in the run game. We saw them get it to him on the little reverse. You can get it to him in the pass game. He turns into essentially a running back, almost like Debo Samuel with the ball in his hands. He's physical. He's tough. He's a dog. He's just a flat out dog. I love him. So I needed to give him that apology, but he was wide open, missed him. Then he threw it to Romeo Doubs. Yeah, it was a little behind him. Doubs could have made the catch, but of course he didn't. And then they ultimately had to punt. And I thought that was the turning point because the Eagles were on the ropes, right? You scored possession before, right? You'd taken the lead. You had forced them to punt, and they ultimately would force them to punt, I think, 2 times in a row. So they had opportunities with the football to extend that lead, and they weren't able to do it. And then the Eagles retake the lead. And once they took the lead, I really thought that the Eagles were going to blow them out. I thought they had an opportunity themselves to really push their foot on the gas, and Jalen Hurts blew it by throwing that interception, or else I don't even think this game would have been as close, right? Even if they just get a field goal there. I don't even know what Hurts was thinking. He almost threw a pick six, and he said, no. I'm throwing this one to the Green Bay Packers, okay? I'm going to give it to them. And so if they would have just got a field goal there, they would have been fine. And I looked at my wife, and I told her when the Packers drove down the field and their drive stalled out, I said, this kicker's going to miss, because he had made the 2 kicks earlier, but they were chip shots. And then what told me he was going to miss, one, they just got him, so that means confidence is shaky. This is his first NFL game. All right, so I was like, okay. And then what was a tall tale sign for me was when they kicked the extra point, they had a false start. They had to back up 5 yards and went to 38. This man barely snuck that bitch inside the right upright. I thought it was no good. I said, oh, shit, if that thing was from 39 yards, it would have hit the damn upright and missed. So when they told me it was a 44-yard field goal, I said, oh, this shit going to the right. I told my wife before he kicked it, this a miss. His ass going to miss. She's like, you think so? I said, yeah. No, this is a miss, and it's going to the right. And what'd he do? Push that bitch right, hit the upright. And so the Packers are lucky they were even in this game after all of the mistakes that the Eagles had made, and they didn't capitalize. And if Jalen Hurts had not thrown that interception, I really think that this game could have gotten out of control. But that kept them in the game. They ultimately went down, got a field goal, cut the deficit from 5 to 2, and that kept them alive. And then the Eagles put together a masterful, 4-minute offensive performance that really just took the wind out of the Packers' sail. I mean, wow. They couldn't tackle. Hurts made play after play after play. They dropped an interception. They had him in 3rd and long, and then Kenny Clark decides to hold Saquon Barkley for what? I don't know. The Packers didn't want to win this game. They just simply did not. And, I hope that Jordan Love is okay. I hope their center is okay, because both of them went down on the 2nd or the 3rd to last play of the game. I was really scared for Jordan Love. Anytime a player takes his helmet off, flips it to the side, and starts writhing in pain, I always think the worst. Sometimes you can be over dramatic, especially if you've never had a major injury before. All you know is you're in serious pain. You don't know what's wrong, but you know that shit is on fire right now. You don't even want to look. And that's the kind of pain he looked to be in. And normally when guys do that, I'm thinking something's broken, right? You've torn something or it's broken, because guys usually know. But I think he just might have sprained his ankle pretty severely. If it was broken, he would not have been able to get up and put weight on it. So I'm not worried about it being broken. At this point, it's probably a significant sprain. But if it is a significant sprain, that's enough to keep him out of the lineup. And you saw who their backup quarterback was. So, yeah, it could go from bad to worse, if you're a Packers fan, from just losing the game to now we got to start Malik Willis for the next 3 to 4 weeks, which is not ideal, if I say so myself. But anybody see Jahan Dotson on the field? Looks like he's up to his old antics. Look at me throwing some shade. I think he's going to be fine. He just got there. You couldn't expect him to be that big of a. You couldn't throw him a bubble screen. Couldn't throw him a slant. Couldn't just get the ball in his hands one time. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. No catches. Nothing. Okay. But it's all good, man. Eagles win, and I think they're gonna be a fun team to watch this season. Because I think they're gonna be in a lot of these types of ball games where they're going to have to score a lot of points, because I think this defense is just going to be – I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year, but I think they're going to be a defense you can definitely move the ball against, you can run against, and you can throw against. I mean, again, they can't get pressure on the quarterback, right? They're not going to consistently get pressure on the QB, and if they can't get pressure, you see what the back end looks like, all right? You see what the back end looks like. So – I think they could be in some serious trouble this season defensively. They also look like they can score some points. Jalen Hurts is going to have to clean that shit up. He might be turnover prone. You know, the first 2 years, he took care of the ball. He wasn't making careless decisions. He might just be turnover prone. Like, that might be who he is now, because he made some bad decisions. I remember telling Eagles fans this, one of those games, they beat us up. I think it was 24-8. And I said, if our guys could catch, he could have thrown 3 picks. And they laughed at me, told me we were trash. And they weren't wrong. But I said, man, maybe he always made poor decisions and now guys are just catching the ball. He could have thrown 4 or 5 picks tonight. Real talk. Should have thrown a pick 6. Jordan Love should have thrown a pick 6 too, right? But I expect Nakobe Dean to drop a pick 6. I don't expect Keyshawn Nixon, a corner, a nickelback, to drop a pick 6. But that's nor here nor there. Hurts made plays when plays had to be made. And that's what winners do. We can sit here and talk all the shit that we want about Philadelphia and, you know, the mistakes that they made, turned it over 3 times, had 7 penalties. You know, we can talk about all of that shit. But when plays needed to be made, when opportunities were presented to them, unlike Green Bay, they took full advantage and they made winning plays. And that's what the good teams in this league do. And that's what separates the playoff teams from the teams that are on the outside looking in when we get to bonus football. The teams that are looking inside the playoff window like, damn, that looks like fun. It's teams like Green Bay who don't know how to get it done when the opportunities present themselves. And the teams that's inside having a good time, hey, when the playoffs start, that's Philadelphia, because they find ways to get it done. And that's what they did in this game. And so they're 1-0. So let's get to, before we get to the comment section, we'll get to the comment section here in a second. But before we do that, let's get to a word from one of our sponsors and Inside the Odds, powered by BetUS.
Inside the Odds.
So, looking for a new book this season? BetUS is the answer. Fastest payouts in the industry. BetUS has upped the ante. You saw in that graphic, it said 125% off on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. Not the case. They've upped the ante up to 150% sign-up bonus on up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits from BetUS when you use the promo code YouTube150. That's right. Get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. Who's doing that? Who's doing that in the industry? Not many. That's for sure. That's right. Head over to betus.com. Use the promo code YouTube150 to get you 150% sign-up bonus off on $2,000 on up to your first 3 deposits. So let's talk about some of the numbers from the game, because this was a fascinating game. So the total was 49. I thought this would be an over total. I think the final score, I had the Eagles losing this game 29-28. So I was over the total. I thought this would be an over. I didn't know it was going to turn into a Big 12 game with no defense for about 2 quarters or so, roughly. From the second quarter all the way to the midway portion of the third, there was 0 defense being played by either squad. I mean, you could have whatever you could have whatever you like. Yeah. So I thought the total would be over here. The Eagles were -3 on the in terms of the spread, and they covered by winning this game by 5. Let's get into some real numbers here. Some of the good juicy stuff. All right, Jalen Hurts going into the game, over under for him passing wise in terms of yardage was 238.5. So anything over 238, he was going to be on the over. I think he had 278. How much did he end up with? Let's get the exact numbers here. Jalen Hurts, 278. I hit it right on the head. So he hit the over. I would have thought he would have been under. I would have taken the under here because I didn't think it would be. I thought it would be Saquon Barkley doing what he did. I thought there would be a couple of plays there made, but I didn't think he would have as prolific a day. And really, a lot of it came on that big pass. 67 of it came to AJ Brown. I didn't think they would have one of those in the game. I thought he would have the plays that we saw, the shallow cross that goes for 17, the dig route that goes for 18. The steady diet of those. I wasn't expecting an explosive 67-yarder that they had, but he hits the over there. That was a good one. 64.5. They were begging, right? They were begging you to hit the over on this. The odds weren't great, minus 115. They kind of knew he would hit over 65 yards or over 64 yards in this game, but still, that was easy money to me, right? Saquon ended up with 109 yards on the day on 24 carries. This is what a debut for a dominant back with a new team is supposed to look like. Not that shit we saw from the Ravens last night where Derrick Henry only got 13 carries. This is what the shit's supposed to look like. Granted, the Eagles, for much of the second half, were ahead. There was that brief spell that I talked about when they were down 26-24, but they could afford to run the ball. The Ravens could have run the football. There was no excuse for Derrick Henry to only have 13 carries. So this is what it's supposed to look like. 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4.5 a pop. And so they were begging you to bang the over on this Saquon Barkley total. And they were giving away money here with that. A.J. Brown. The number was 5.5 on his amount of receptions in this game. I would have taken the over. So I would have lost. He had 5 receptions in this game. Now, he had 119 yards, right, including the 67-yarder for a touchdown. But I would have taken the over here. There's no way in my mind I wouldn't have thought he wouldn't have come out of here with a 6 or 7 grabs. Easy. So I would have lost my money here because I would have thought he would have had 7. My number was 7 for him in this game because generally when they need a play in a critical situation, they go to A.J. Brown on a slant. Well, they did that early in the game, but ultimately the guy that they went to when they needed something tonight was Devontae Smith. That was the guy. He had 7 catches, and AJ only had 5, but AJ had the more yards with the 119 because of the 67-yarder. But when they needed a play, they went to Devontae tonight. So I would have lost my money on AJ and his receptions. How about Jordan Love? So the number over under on pass yards, 254.5. So anything over 254 would have gotten you some money. If you took the over, if you took the under, you would have been right. Cause I think he had under 200. Oh, 260. That cause he had like 230 something going into that last drive. And then he had the big one. I forgot about that one down the sideline. Beautiful catch by Jaden Reed down the sideline before he got hurt. So that pushed him over to 54. So I would have went over on that because I just think the Eagles, until they prove to me that they're not Swiss cheese in the secondary, and I said, who's getting pressure on the quarterback? Not Bryce Huff. It's going to have to be Josh Sweat, but looked like he didn't break a sweat tonight because I didn't see his ass either. So I would have went over and I would have won barely. Pass completions, I would have gone over on that 22. He was awful tonight. Jordan Love was awful. And I'll make an excuse for him because I'm a Jordan Love fan. A pseudo Jordan Love apologist, but I'm not going to make too many excuses for him because even before that, he missed Watson in the back of the end zone in the first possession. He wasn't injured then, right? But he had the calf. You could tell it was bothering him, but he missed some opportunities. There were receivers running through that secondary all night long, and he could have had more completions. He only had 17 completions. Man completed 50% of his passes, 17 of 34. That is disgusting. That is PU nasty. Okay. And then passing touchdowns, I would have taken the over again. I just think you can have your way with this Eagles secondary. So I would have thought he would have had 2 touchdown passes, and he did. So I would have taken the over there. That was an easy one, taking the over on Jordan Love. And once again, all of these statistics, these numbers that you're seeing are brought to you by BetUS. How about Josh Jacobs? This one was a little bit tricky because I didn't know how much they were going to run the football, how effective they were going to be running the football. I did think the Eagles' run defense would have been a little bit better, and they actually were early in this game. At one point, he had 10 touches for 19 yards. So I would have taken the under here probably. just because. Oh, this is receiving yards. Excuse me. Not rushing yards. This was receiving yards. I wonder what the other one was for Saquon was for receiving yards. No, that was for rushing yards. That to me was easy. Saquon was going to go over 64 yards rushing. But this is for receiving yards here. He didn't have over that. And he's a really prolific pass catcher. He had 20 yards receiving. They only threw him the ball a couple of times. I definitely would have taken the under there. I thought this was rushing yards. So I would have taken the under on receiving yards for Josh Jacobs because I thought he would have more of an impact as a runner, and he did. 16 carries, 84 yards. Between him and Emmanuel Wilson, Wilson had 4 carries for 46 yards. He was gashing them, and Jacobs had 84 yards on 16 carries. Between the two of them, you're talking. And then Jaden Reed had the 33-yarder on his lone carry of the game. So 163 yards rushing on 21 carries for the Packers, averaging almost 8 yards a pop. Obviously, the Jaden Reed 33-yarder kind of inflates the average. But, I mean, and there were some big runs in there by Jacobs to really inflate his numbers. He really didn't have as good a night running the football as his numbers indicate. But he started to get cooking, and I thought the Packers, maybe prematurely got away from him in this game when he started to get going. And he got tired and he checked himself out of the game at one point, and then that drive went to hell in a handbasket because he was dominating on that particular drive. So with that said, let's get to the comment section, see what you guys have to say. I wonder if there's an update on Jordan Love yet. I don't think there is. I really think it's just an ankle injury. Hopefully he's okay. You hate to see anything happen, especially that late in the ball game, pretty much in hand at that point. They would have had a chance at a Hail Mary with Jordan Love, but you hate to see anything like that happen. But let's get to the comment section and see what you guys have to say. If you're out there, you want your comment read, we've got plenty of time to chop it up tonight. So if you're out there, you want your comment read, use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air. If time permits and it is pertinent, we will address it and discuss it. But the way to ensure that your comment is read is to super chat. If you want to ensure that your comment is read and you want to jump straight to the front of the line, super chats are the way to do so. Can't guarantee you that we'll get to your comment, especially if you're a little bit later down in the comment section. So super chats are the way to make sure that your comment is read. We kicked the Frankie Yo kicks the night off. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Frankie Yo writes, if I'm Joe Shane, I'm never turning my back when John Mara is present. Dude might be sharpening that knife as we speak, LOL. He never wanted to let Saquon go. Now, granted, Saquon wasn't going to be this effective with the Giants because they don't have the type of weapons in New York that the Eagles have. And they don't have the type of offensive line that the Eagles have either in New York. So while Saquon was still effective as a Giant, he's going to look a lot better in Philadelphia because he's going to be able to play in a lot more space. With New York, you were crowding the line of scrimmage. You were daring Daniel Jones to beat you. And Saquon was having to, kind of make something out of nothing. In Philadelphia, he's going to have space and opportunity. And even the tush push didn't look as automatic without Jason Kelce, right? But with Saquon pushing him back there, it's going to be hard to stop that shit still, right? So, yeah, look, Mara never wanted him to leave, and after watching tonight, and let Saquon do this to the Giants that first game back. I think the first meeting between the two teams is in New York. Let him go there, bless them for a buck and some change and 3 scores. Oh, shit. Joe Shane may never hear the end of it. He may never, ever hear the end of it. HTTR for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Love's injury happened earlier in the game. He tried to play through it, put almost all he had on the field, just couldn't get it done. Hope he's okay. I talked about that already. He got hurt. His calf, you could tell. I didn't know if he had strained his calf, if he had like cramps in his calf. You could see them with the massage gun. You could see them, trying to hydrate him and things of that nature, and treating his calf while he was on the sideline. So clearly it done something to it. You saw him put, anytime I see a guy having his calf massage and then you see him, pulling his toe up after a play, that means you're cramping, right? You're trying to stretch out your calf. And so you could tell he was, battling through that. And I think it did affect some of his throws, but it wasn't, the entire game. That didn't occur until the second half. So I'm not going to make any excuses for him in that regard. You could tell it impacted him. I think it really started to affect him midway through the third, and then all the way through the fourth. And you could tell he wasn't the same quarterback, but still, he missed a number of throws, and he slipped a bunch of times on that surface. And I think that's where he ended up hurting his calf, to be honest with you. He slipped about 3 times at the top of his drop. And these were some nasty slips. You can really hurt yourself like that. Hope he's okay as well. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Trev writes, Chef AP cooking up a masterclass, letting Hungry Howie steal out of the Rivera trash can in his tragic Hello Kitty ski mask. Jahan is no dog, no catches, hashtag 10 toes. Look, it was his first game. When I said Jahan picking up right where he left off, I kid. The number's nasty. 83 looks disgusting on him, right? Like, he was 87 first. So, I mean, when you get to a team that late, all the good numbers are gone. But you're telling me there wasn't any numbers in the teens? There wasn't an 11. There wasn't a 13, something else, even 15. Like, there wasn't any numbers he could have grabbed. What is Kenneth Gainwell? Isn't he? No, I think he's 14. Like, you telling me there wasn't any numbers in the teens he could have grabbed, right? 83 is hideous on him, right? He'll be fine. He just got there. I just would have thought that they would have tried, went out of their way to just get him a catch in his first game as an Eagle, just so he could say, hey, I got on the board. Nothing. They didn't even make an attempt to try to get him to rock. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. He's going to be fine in Philadelphia, I think. Mike Jank, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Reed Blankenship with the play of the game. How about Bond? I told you the 3 guys that stood out for me in the game for the Eagles defensively, and there wasn't much on the defensive side that stood out, but the 3 guys that definitely stood out to me: Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, and Reed Blankenship. And Zach Bond was everywhere. He was ubiquitous in this game. If there was a tackle made, Zach Bond on the tackle. If there was somebody coming out of nowhere to blow up a play, it was either Nakobe Dean, like they tried to throw a screen and Nakobe Dean blew up the backup running back, because his name is Wilson, blew him up, right? Zach Bond, they tried to throw a screen to Josh. Zach Bond over there making the tackle. They tried to throw a little bubble, Zach Bond over there. They tried to get it to one of the receivers underneath, and they set up some blocks, and Zach Bond over there. The game-ending play where they were trying to throw the Hail Mary, Zach Bond on the sack to finish it off, right? Zach Bond was everywhere. Nakobe Dean should have had a pick 6. He felt like he was all over the field, especially in those short yardage situations. I felt like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, they were all aggressive in attacking the line of scrimmage. And then Reed Blankenship is a really good football player. And that was a hell of a pick. Read the eyes of Jordan Love. I still don't know what the hell Jordan Love was thinking. Just like I don't know what Jalen Hurts was thinking when he tried to layer it over the middle of the field on the first pick of the game, on that first possession. I don't know what those guys were thinking on those particular throws. You can't do that over the middle of the field, especially when there's a safety there kind of keying your eyes. That's a hell of a play by Reed Blankenship, though, because he had to come around the defender and the receiver, reach in there, grab it, not let it hit the ground. And ultimately, that was the game-winning play. You were down 26-24 at that time, and you ended up getting the go-ahead score on that possession. So that's a massive play by Reed Blankenship. You're right. That was the play of the game for sure. Swaggy P, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Swaggy P writes, thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Swaggy P writes, first and foremost, prayers to Jordan Love. you know, I don't think it's serious, but I think it is probably serious enough that he could miss some time. The luxury of playing on a Friday is that you have some extra time between now and the next game. He'll get all the treatment that he can stand between now and then, and they'll try to get him ready to play. But if I had to guess, I'd say it's a pretty significant ankle sprain. And usually that's enough to keep a quarterback out at least 2 weeks, right? Normally the diagnosis on an ankle sprain for a QB is 2 to 4. So he's young. He'll heal fast. But I could see him missing about 2 games with that injury. He says Eagles D was looking very barbecue chickenish. Hell yeah, they were tonight. Also, Jahan was out there doing cardio. We know that there might not be a better receiver in the league at doing cardio and being inconspicuous while doing it, right? Jahan's one of those dudes that can run around an entire field and not leave a footprint. You won't even know he was there, right? Just very quiet, you know, ninja-like. If not for how hideous his jersey number was, you wouldn't have even known he was out there half the time. But you can't miss 83 in that frame. Like, if you get an 83 in a bigger body, like a 6'2 receiver, okay, that fits. 83 on a small guy is tragic. It's nasty. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Take command for life writes, changing my name back for the new season. Okay. We'll see if that brings us any luck. All right. We'll see if that brings us any luck. Indeed. Let's get to the comment section. See what you guys have to say. Go all the way back to the top, the tippy top, and start there. Lots and lots of comments here. Actually, we got some more supers. So we had one. Yakum Flabber, I guess. Yakum Flabber. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Yakum Flabber. All right, let's get back to the comment section. See what's going on here. All right. Let's see. See what we got. Kevin, and this is who I want to hear from, a Packers fan. Kevin writes, don't think Jordan Love played as bad as people will say. Had some incompletions, but many throwaways and drops. Overall, game was ugly. Field was not doing any favors. What did you see from Love? That's a pretty accurate assessment. I do think there were some misses, though, right? To your point, and I've mentioned this already, Field didn't do anybody any favors. I thought his receivers didn't do him any favors. And when I say receivers, I use that term loosely because really it was Wicks and Dobbs that had some balls that they probably could have caught that they didn't. I thought, Watson and especially Jaden Reed were outstanding. So I was surprised we didn't see the tight ends be more involved. Like, did we even have a target to Luke Musgrave? That was wild. That's mind-boggling. That I don't even think he might have had one target on like a bootleg or something, a dump off in the flats or something. But I just felt like he would be a bigger part of this game. Really shocked that he wasn't more a part of the offense. Luke Musgrave had 2 targets, no catches. Like, that's surprising to me. You spend a first-round pick on a tight end, you expect that tight end to be a little bit more a part of the offense than him having 2 targets and no catches in this game. Yeah, Love, this wasn't one of his better performances. But again, I think the field was not good, but it was not good for both teams. So we can't use that as an excuse. It didn't do him any favors, as you mentioned. I thought he just missed, especially on some of the passes early. I can't let the one go at the beginning of the game on the first possession because you have a wide open Christian Watson in the back of the end zone, and you need to hit that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can't miss that throw. You got to make the Eagles pay for that mistake early in the game. That's got to be a touchdown. So I got a question for you. How has because I hated the pick, so I want to know how is the how is the defensive lineman Lucas Van Ness, how is he playing? Because he looks real basic to me. I never see him making any plays. It seems like he's rarely in the game. Again, this is another first round pick. I always feel like the Packers are just always trying to outsmart people when it comes to making selections. I was wrong about Rashawn Gary. He actually turned out to be pretty solid, but Lucas Van Ness looks like a big swing and a miss. You tell me I'm wrong. How does he look to you? Let's see. We got another super chat. Let's go here. Yakum Flabber. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Really appreciate you. Yakum Flabber. Thank you for the super chat. Junior Nando. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Junior writes, no. And Notre Dame looks good. They might go undefeated. I'm a Tennessee fan. Nico looks amazing. Pause. That's a very random comment, Junior Nando. That's kind of like out of nowhere. Very out of nowhere. It's too early in the college football season, to make any assumptions about anything. Now, with Notre Dame, I understand that the schedule is really poor, but I'm not blown away by our offense. Now, our defense is good, but our offense is good enough, is subpar enough, average enough to lose us a game. Make a couple of mistakes, turn it over a couple of times, run into the wrong team at the wrong time, and I could see us being in a dogfight and losing a game that we have no business losing. But the schedule is very favorable. We don't see another good team until probably USC late in the season. I think that's the last game of the season, matter of fact. And then we only have like 2 true road games. The rest of them are neutral sites or they're at home. So it's a really cupcake schedule if we take care of business. If is a big word. I'm not blown away by Riley, the Duke quarterback that we got, the transfer. He doesn't move the needle for me at all. So we'll see. I hate that people are hyping us up because that feels like we're going to have a letdown somewhere where it doesn't belong. The only thing that may save us is our defense, I think, has a chance to be really good, but we will see. Jordan, Vincent Coe, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Vincent Coe, thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, just showing love. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, before I begin, that Diami documentary dropped. Yeah, I talked about it on CNN earlier today. Anybody interested should check it out. It's 57 minutes, I believe. So it's roughly an hour. It's actually really good. You should check it out. Let's see. Where are we now? Let's see. Niners fan. Or this is Ghost Rider first. I hope it doesn't rain when Washington plays. Whatever happens, happens. We can't control Mother Nature. Control what you can control. That's the name of the game. That's the mantra that we live by. Control what you can control. We can't control the weather. What you can do is control how you play in the weather, right? So we'll see what happens. Niners fan, right? So Lou, I'm so hyped for winners and losers. My ultimate goal is to not get stuck with the piss cup. If that's your goal, you're not gonna win. Okay. That's a pretty low bar because the piss cup is reserved for the worst of the worst. So if you're concerned with the piss cup, then you're not focused on the ultimate prize, which is to be the best. You're worried about not being the worst. There's a big difference between the two. So I love the fact that you're competing. You got in the game. You got off the bench. I'm excited about that. But aim higher, right? Shoot for the stars. Don't aim to not hit the ground, okay? Shoot for the stars, okay? Junior Nando, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, what do you think about the Commanders firing the social media guy? I think I talked about that on my show, CNN. I don't want to hijack this show by talking about the Commanders a ton. If you're interested in how I feel about that, check out CNN episode 1.3. I talked about it a ton there. or actually CNN episode 1.2. Talked about it a ton there. Knew he was going to get fired. And then they fired him the next day. It was a no-brainer. There was no way he was going to be able to keep his job after the comments that he had made, and it was on camera. There's no refuting it. There's no it was taken out of context. We're literally watching you say these things out of your mouth. You're done. And he was. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, hit the like button for Lou. 98 likes right now. We're over 100. Thank you for that public service announcement. TC4L. If you're out there and you haven't hit the like button yet, there are over 400 of you right now, and we just crept over 100 likes. We could do so much better than that. Hit the like button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it does help this channel grow exponentially. So please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Vincent Coe, my guy Vince, been a member for 35 months, almost at that 3-year Annie, getting dangerously close, writes, if Geno plays decent or even pretty good this year, do we keep him or draft a quarterback next year if you're John Snyder? It just depends on where you end up in the draft and if there's a quarterback that tickles your fancy, or do you feel compelled to go up and get a guy, and do you have the ammunition to do so, right? Because if he does what you said, which is play well, I just don't see the Seahawks bottoming out. Even if Geno doesn't play well or he gets injured, I think Sam Howell will come in and play well enough that you don't go, 4-13 like the Commanders did. You're just too talented of a football team to do that. And defensively, Mike McDonald isn't going to allow that to happen. So in my mind's eye, you're going to win at least 6 games, probably more like 7, 8, or 9. That's going to put you towards the back end of the non-playoff teams. So you're not in a real position to draft a quarterback unless you trade up. And is this draft loaded at quarterback like last year, like this past year's draft, is what you got to ask yourself. There'll be quite a few quarterbacks coming out, but will they be as talented as the ones we just saw come into the league? I'm not sure about that, but time will tell. It's so early to ask the quarterback question because you got to let the college football season develop, kind of see where some of these guys are. We know Shador's name is going to be bandied about. Let's see how he plays this season, right? Quinn Ewers' name is going to be thrown out there. Let's see how he plays. All right, Carson Beck out of Georgia, his name's going to be thrown around. Let's see how he plays, right? A lot of quarterbacks in college football. Let's see how these guys play, right? The Gabriel kid, the quarterback Ward at Miami. There's a bunch of quarterbacks in college football. Let's see how they play, right? And see what happens, and then we can kind of reassess the landscape of the quarterback position and what teams need what and how you go about trying to make that happen. Don Everhart, stand up. You are in the building along with the 10 new members that you just blessed. Shout out to Don Everhart for his generosity. Thank you so much. And stand up. Welcome to the squad. You are officially in the building, courtesy of Don Everhart. Shout out to my guy Don for blessing 10 brand new members. Welcome to the squad, courtesy of Don Everhart. Shout out to my guy Don. Really appreciate you. Isaiah Rosa, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Isaiah writes, yo, Louie, I'm an Eagles fan, and I come to you and LB for post games, LOL. Eagles were sloppy, but when they needed to have it, they went down the field, chewed the clock. Shout out to Saquon and Bond. You're not wrong. You're spot on. It was both teams were sloppy. Eagles probably more so than the Packers were. Packers were, I thought, were really sloppy with the penalties, had 10 penalties and could have had plenty more in this game. But I think the Eagles were sloppy with the turnovers, and some of the decisions that Jalen Hurts made were just, I wouldn't call them uncharacteristic, but maybe this is who he is. As I said already, maybe this is who he is. But there were some bright spots defensively on a performance that wasn't all that good, right? And I talked about the 3 guys. I thought Quinyon Mitchell wasn't too bad either, right? He looks very promising. I think he's going to be good. And he's got some swag too. He had the pass breakup in the end zone, and he was talking mega trash. I mean, to the point where and they must have been John before that, because He got up and he was chasing Christian Watson to give him the smoke. And his teammates had to pull him back like, bro, don't pick up a penalty, trying to talk shit. So I think he's going to be fine. He gave up a couple of plays, young, youthful. We're going to chalk that up to youthful exuberance, right? Eyes in the wrong place. We call those eye violations, right? Eyes not in the right place. He let Jaden Reed get behind him when he should have been sinking underneath that route and taking that away from Jordan Love. So just poor eye discipline, eye violation, things he can clean up. Had a pass breakup on the outbreaking route that he was beat on, but it was a poor ball by Jordan Love. And again, this is why I say, Jordan Love he was not accurate tonight. He was not accurate. That ball was thrown inside on an outbreaking route where the receiver was open, and if he puts it outside, it's a completion, but he didn't, right? So Saquon was just masterful in his debut. Zach Bond was everywhere. And I also think Nakobe Dean and Reed Blankenship deserve some love as well. Thank you for the super chat, Isaiah Rosa. RVM, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. RVM writes, hey, Lou, first regular season game of a new era is on my 40th birthday. Going to be a fun one. Regardless of the outcome, knowing we may finally have our guy, here's to JD's development to be our franchise quarterback. Cheers. Cheers to that. And I'll just tell you early, happy 40th, man. I'll give it to you early. Hopefully, I don't ask the fellas for much, because at the end of the day, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I try not to put any extra added pressure on them as is. But, hey, man, my birthday's in the summer, so I never asked them for a birthday win, okay? I never put that pressure on them. All I ever asked them really for is the Sean Taylor game. Get that for me. And they've been pretty poor at doing that, right? They rarely get the Sean Taylor game for me, which it pisses me off because I'm like, I don't ask you for a lot. I ask you, don't embarrass me on primetime. You embarrass me on primetime all the time. I don't ask for much, and I ask you for one game a year, and you continuously don't get it. But if I had a birthday during the season, this is the birthday game. You got to get me the birthday game. I think they're going to bless you. And usually your birthday is right around the week 1 game. We're not bad in week 1. We don't always win in week 1, but we're not terrible in week 1. So you might be able to get this one. Hopefully they bless you, man. You deserve it. 40 is a big one. You deserve it. Mike Leslie, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Mike, writes, that field was slip and slide from front to back, side to side. Never let a broke ass. I'm not going to say that. That's not right. that you were playing on painted green ice tonight. That was a mess. The NFL has to do better than this shit. And I know look, my wife was like, why are they playing over there? And I'm like, it's not safe for the players. I'm like, they don't care about player safety. They could try to push that agenda and that narrative that they give a shit about these players. They don't care about these players. They care more about spreading the game internationally than they care about these players. If they cared about player safety, they wouldn't put them in these situations. That field was a hazard. Guys were slipping and sliding all over the place. Jordan Love almost hurt himself multiple times. That was not a great surface. And then when they go over to London, you think that field is bad. When they go over to London, literally, they're playing on green ice, okay? Like slush, green mud. So they don't care about these players because they wouldn't send them to these remote destinations with terrible playing conditions and ask them to go out there and perform. It's ridiculous. Josh Gates, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Josh, writes, after tonight's performance, should be worried about family business. By the way, pray for me, Louie. I'm 0-2 in the pools right now. Oy vey. I feel you could easily be 2-0 though, right? Look at it on the bright side. when you start off 0-2 and both of the games were as close as these two were, you could easily be 2-0, right? But you're not, and that's a part of the game. I'm 1-1, so I'm not that much better than you are. I thought that the Packers, and they had their opportunities. Again, once they didn't cash in on either one, all I was looking for them to do was cash in on one of those turnovers. I mean, they were point blank inside the 20 both times and came away with 2 field goals. I said, they're going to lose the game. You can't win doing that shit. Yeah, can't win. Knew they were going to lose the game at that point. Knew they were going to lose the game at that point. Let's see where we are right now. I think we're right here. And let's see. JP writes, man, the first 2 games have been good to kick off the season. Also, not going to lie, the officiating stinks so far. I wasn't too turned off by the officiating in this game. I thought the officiating was a little rough last night with the Ravens and Chiefs, but hey, you know, I'm used to that. I don't complain about the officiating too much because I don't really think it decided the outcome of the game. The only time I complain about the officiating is if I think it really impacted the outcome of the game. And in these first 2 games, I don't really think that was the case. I thought it was a really bad call. They called the Eagles for a blindside block on a punt return. I'm like, what kind of a call is that? That was a good, clean block. What do you want the man to do? Like, what kind of a call is that? The roughing the passer on Jordan Love? Are you kidding me? Now, I didn't make a big deal out of that because they also were flagged for a clear pass interference on the play. I want to say it was Avonte Maddox. If it wasn't Maddox, it was the rookie Quinyon Mitchell. One of the two was flagged on the play. So it was going to be a first down anyway on that 3rd down. It just that the roughing the passer was 15 and the pass interference would have been like 7 or 8 yards. It still would have been a first down. So it didn't matter, right? It didn't really impact the game all that much, but I didn't think that was a good call either. So there weren't many calls where I went, what was that? There were a couple of them last night where I go, whoa. You're negating a Lamar Jackson 30-yard run because of that shit? That's holding? You called that? Okay. All right. Really? All right. Got you. So, yeah, I don't really complain about officiating all that much. I didn't think it was that bad tonight. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Jamal writes, thank you for, oh, I said that already. Hey, Lou. What's up, Jamal? Says, the 1 year I'm not coming back to home to Florida, we played Tampa. We're playing in Tampa, shaking my head. But see, this is the thing. You knew that in advance, Jamal. You knew that in advance. You knew we were going to Tampa at some point this year because you know the schedule. You don't know when the game is going to be, but you know road and home opponents before the season starts, before the schedule comes out. You know who's at home and who's on the road. So you could have set it up to where you went home. Now, you might have had a reason why you didn't go home this year, but if you wanted to go, you could have said, hey, look, we play in Tampa at some point. I need to go home this year, but that's no here, no. Don't worry. We got enough fans out there in attendance at this game to take care of business. And let me say this. I'm gonna save that for another video. So I ain't gonna trip about it because I forgot to say it on the Friday edition of CNN, but I got another video coming out before the game so I can talk to the viewers that will be in attendance then, right? They're gonna take care of business for you, Jamal. Don't worry about it. They're in good hands. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, thoughts on Jaden Reed? I already talked about him. You must have just got here not too long ago. I had to off. First of all, I gave him a 00. I owe him. I was very disrespectful to him and the Packers organization. And Brian Gutekunst, I was disrespectful to him. Jaden Reed, I questioned, their motives. Are you really trying to win? You're drafting guys like Lucas Van Ness in the first round. You're drafting Jaden Reed in the second round. What are you doing? I had a Packers fan tell me, you don't know what you're talking about. Jaden Reed is a stud. I said, okay, we'll see. And I watched him last year, and I started to come around. I'm like, yo, this dude, Jaden Reed, is a problem. I think that fan was right. And as I kept watching him, last year, I said, yeah, he's good. And I didn't want to give up the 00. He was filthy tonight. He's a dog. I think he's Deebo Samuel light. Tough, gritty, Ball in his hands. He's an animal, hard to bring down. You can hand it to him. You can toss it to him. You can run down the field and catch it and make plays. He's a better receiver than Debo, I think. Like a better pass catching receiver down the field. Debo's better, with the ball in his hands, physically running through tackles. But he's no slouch. He's not as physically built as Debo, but I think the results are somewhat similar in terms of his ability to make guys miss, break tackles. He was a problem. What did he end up with tonight? Had the 33-yard touchdown. Him and Saquon both scored a receiving, and a rushing touchdown in the same quarter. I think it was the first time in NFL history that has happened. Jaden Reed tonight had 138 yards on just 4 catches, 34.5 yards per catch. Obviously, boosted and aided by the 70-yard touchdown grab. But the 33-yard run, the 138 yards, he had over 170 all-purpose yards on just 5 touches. He was electric tonight. Absolutely dynamic. Want to give a quick shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this live stream. If you're looking for a new book this football season, BetUS is the answer. Fastest payouts in the industry. You get 10% back on your net losses up to twice a year. Again, who in the industry is doing that? All right. And then here's the big kicker. BetUS has upped the ante. It used to be 125%. Now it's 150% sign-up bonus on up to $2,000 on your first 3 deposits when you use the promo code YouTube150. All right. We got time for about 2, maybe 3 more comments max, and then we'll get out of here. And this is why I'm a big proponent of teams playing their guys a little bit more in the preseason. This looked sloppy on both counts. Eagles were sloppy, could have used some work. Packers were sloppy. And I get it. How much would that have changed had they gotten work in the preseason? I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have changed anything. And the risk far outweighs the reward of playing your guys in the preseason. I'm aware of that too. But I don't want my first game of the season to serve as a quote unquote preseason game. I'm not signing up for that shit. Okay. The Eagles were sloppy tonight. The Packers were sloppy tonight. And it wasn't just because of the field conditions. These teams were sloppy. This was a far cry from the game we watched yesterday. Now, the Ravens never play their starters, but the Chiefs, and this is my whole rationale. If the Chiefs will play Patrick Mahomes twice in the preseason, which they did, and they do that every year, if it's good enough for them, then shit, it's good enough for me. And everybody's got their philosophical beliefs. Tom Brady used to play in the preseason every year. Patrick Mahomes plays in the preseason every year. If it's good enough for the greatest quarterback in NFL history and the guy that's chasing him, feverishly chasing him, if it's good enough for them and they don't think about the preseason in a way where they look down on it and think they're too good for it, then it's good enough for me and my quarterback, and I'm going to send his ass out there in my first team offense because they need to work. And the Eagles looked like they needed the reps. The Packers looked like they – and Jordan Love played in the preseason. He played like all of 3 snaps in the preseason. It wasn't his fault that he threw a 65-yard touchdown to Dontavius Wicks, and that was it. But these look like 2 teams that could have used some work in the preseason. That's for sure. Let's see. You got any more comments in here? If not, we'll just get out of here now. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think I see anything else in here for me. Nope. Here goes something here. Mike Jinks says, is a survivor pool locked or do we have until Sunday? Them wide receivers might not play, LOL. No, it's locked. Yeah, once we hit Thursday, picks have to be in and we lock it up. Kevin, I was looking for this from you. He says, Lucas Van Ness is giving me Nick Perry vibes. Don't think he'll have the same upside as Gary, but he could be a Preston Smith if he finds a consistent pass rush move. Okay, I mean, Nick Perry had, he had a season or two. I think he had one season where he had double-digit sacks or something like that. Preston Smith, the difference with Preston Smith is Preston was among the league leaders in Washington when we drafted him in quarterback pressures. He just never would get there, right? He would always end up with like 7.5 sacks. Then we let him leave in free agency, which Jay Gruden did not want to do. And he always talked about wanting to re-sign Preston Smith. He leaves, and the first year he leaves and gets to Green Bay, he goes for like 12.5 sacks. You're telling me that you think that Lucas Van Ness could be a problem if he develops. That's the biggest issue I have with him is he never had any skill at Iowa. It was just you were drafting him off of potential, but he never even really flashed in college. Like there was no production in college. So I never understood the fascination with him. And I don't see it now. So, yeah. Well, I guess we'll see, right? Guess we'll see. Let's see. Not even Sunday. You already got me in the rear view. Enjoy it. I'm not tripping. It's early, right? Mike Jake says, what do we do with Devin White now that linebackers look like a strength tonight? That's a great question. I mean, obviously, that's what you signed Devin White for. You find a way to get your best players on the field. With Vic, it's really more of a 3-4 when you're in your base. Find a way to get all of these dudes on the field, right? Like find ways to get your best players on the field. That's what a good coordinator does. But yeah, the Kobe Dean looked good. He took full advantage of the opportunity that he was given tonight. And I don't think it's going to force them to bench Devin White or anything, but I do think it should allow him to get more snaps. I think he earned the right to play more tonight. I do think that because he was really good. To me, you're spot on. I think your linebackers were the strength of your defense tonight because there wasn't much else going on defensively. Although, like I said, I was really impressed with, and I've always been really impressed with Reed Blankenship. And I thought Quinyon Mitchell wasn't too bad either. I think he's going to be a player. He looks pretty good too. Robbie Witherall, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Robbie writes, Lou, Saquon in Philly is dirty work. Hate to see it, man. He looked good tonight. This was the worst fear of everybody in the NFC East, that a healthy Saquon Barkley, and for a moment there, I thought he hurt himself. He ran right into the back of his own lineman, and I said immediately when he went down, I said, oh shit, he's hurt. And then he got up, and he promptly got up, and he wasn't moving his right shoulder, and he signaled with his left hand, hey, come get me. Came out of the game, and he was out for about 2 possessions. Well, I don't want to say 2 possessions. He was out for about 3 sets of downs. And remember, Todd Blackledge asked, we're in the 2-minute. Why isn't Saquon in the game? Because he hurt his damn self. That's why he wasn't in the game. But he was fine. He came back, obviously. Kenneth Gainwell did a really good job. And then he came back in the second half and dominated some more. So this was the worst fear of everybody in the NFC East, is that Saquon stays in the division, gets behind a better offensive line, surrounded by more talent, which is going to allow him to play in more space and be dynamic and really open up that Eagles offense. And it looked really good. If nothing else, I walked away saying this Eagles offense has a chance to look a lot like the offense that allowed them to be the best team in football in 2022 and ultimately make the Super Bowl. Now, here's the biggest difference. Jalen Hurts is making poor decisions with the football. He wasn't doing that back in 2022. He threw 2 interceptions, and they were both bad interceptions and could have thrown 2 or 3 more, right? Should have thrown a pick 6. Then, after getting new life, throws a pick on the next play. I don't really understand what he was doing there. But Saquon looks like he's going to be a problem. Big problem. Jamal Hamlin, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Jamal. I think this is your third one. Is it your third one or is it your second one? Nope, it's your second one. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, Jamal, writes, I was home this summer and had to get my son situated for college. After seeing this game, I think us signing Brown might have a bigger impact on us. We'll see. We'll see. Noah Brown is going to have an impact. To what degree is he going to have an impact? We'll see. We don't even know what our offense is going to look like. So we can't say what someone's impact will or won't be. We'll see what it all looks like. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy. Video channel writes, Lou, video channel. I'll be at the Cincy Monday Night Football game. Whoa. You'll be in a sea of black, orange, and white. Hey, may the force be with you that night. We're going to need your energy because it ain't going to be a lot of Commanders fans at that game. All right. And we're going to have a chance in that game, I think. By then we would have had 2 games under our belt. We would have had a chance to see this defense because I'm hanging my hat on the defense. I don't know what this offense is going to be. I'm hanging my hat on the defense. And if the defense isn't good, then we could be in for a long season, right? A long season. But I'm hanging my hat that the defense is going to play well and give us a chance to be in ball games, including the one in Cincinnati. So that's awesome that you'll be at that game. Hopefully you'll be able to bring home a dub, but one at a time. We got Tampa on Sunday. Let's focus on the task at hand, okay? Anyway, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Friday Night Football Overtime. Eagles get it done 34-29 over the Green Bay Packers. Sloppy contest on both sides, but the Eagles made a bunch of plays, including when they had to have it at the end. They got the football with roughly 7 and some change left and essentially possessed the football for 7 minutes. Gave it back to the Packers with 27 seconds left, no timeouts, and needing to go the length of the field. What was Keyshawn Nixon thinking bringing that ball out, with 30 seconds left or whatever? It's a touchback and you get it at the 30, bro. What are you doing? And then Love turned around and had like a 27-yard completion. Do you understand what that could have meant if you didn't bring it? They started at the 15 because of your shenanigans. And you ate up like 6 seconds doing that shit. If you take the knee, they get it at the 30 and he does that same thing, they are in Eagles territory with still, 19 seconds or 17 seconds or whatever would have been left. You would have had time, theoretically speaking, to hit a shot over the middle, run up and spike it with a second or 2 left, and take a shot into the end zone. But some of these dudes, man, I just don't know what the hell these guys be thinking. Like, Love throws a corner route on one of those possessions after Eagle turnovers. He throws a corner route, and Watson, that was a drop. He didn't catch that one. Should have been caught. But it wouldn't have mattered because it was offensive PI. Romeo Doubs runs right into the defender. Like, he didn't even try. Like, first of all, what are you doing? Anyway, guy, what are you doing? He run like you thought it was basketball. He set a pick. He ran slam into the, didn't try to make it look like a route, didn't try to sell anything. He might as well have tackled him. Where's your head at, bro? Like, some of these guys, man, I tell you, I struggle with some of these guys, man. I really, truly do. I struggle. But anyway, one final time, man, let me give another shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this live stream. Once again, if you'd like to sign up for BetUS, go to betus.com and use the promo code YouTube150. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Friday Night Football Overtime. Eagles get the win. Saquon Barkley sparkling in his Eagles debut. 3 touchdowns, over 120 yards rushing, a receiving touchdown. He was everything and then some for the Eagles as they get it done. Jalen Hurts with some timely plays as well on that final drive as the Eagles win 34-29. Get to 1-0. Packers drop to 0-1 and add insult to injury with the injury to Jordan Love on the third to last play of the game. Hopefully his prognosis is not serious. We'll see what happens there. But that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I will see you on Sunday when we're back like cook crack. If you're a Commanders fan, I'm going to give you a Commanders log recap episode tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on Sunday. For those Commanders fans, I'll see you on the post-game show after the Commanders game. If you're a member of the MOBB, we'll be live together watching the game on Sunday evening. And then for the rest of you, we'll be back here Sunday Night Football overtime, Rams and Lions. We'll probably be watching that game together because most of that post-game show for the Commanders will bleed into that Sunday night game. So I'll probably be watching the Sunday night game while I'm talking to you about the Commanders game as well. So anyway, you guys have a good one. Take care. God bless. Good night.
Louie T Network.